Canada's capital of Ottawa has truly bizarre transit. A commuter train that runs every 12 minutes but doesn't go downtown. A norm-shifting dedicated busway system that's now been partially replaced with a light rail subway that's entirely grade-separated. A bus that runs on train tracks. And a brand new airport train that requires 2 transfers just to get to the government buildings downtown. So how did the smallest G7 capital end up with such a wacky system? Is it actually good or usable? And what does the future hold for it? The only way to find out is to go for a ride, eh? Located in eastern Canada, Ottawa is home to about 1 million people, with the metro area totaling about 1.4 million. Unlike neighboring capitals Mexico City and Washington, D.C., Ottawa is not its own federal district, and instead sits in the province of Ontario. It's across the Ottawa River from Gatineau in Quebec. Transit on the Ottawa side is handled by OC Transpo, while Gatineau has buses run by STO, which regularly cross over into Ottawa. Intercity rail service to the capital is provided by Via Rail Canada, and that's what we're on now, rolling into Ottawa Station on a brand new Siemens Venture train set. More about that in a future video. This station opened in 1966 and was rebuilt between 2016 and 2018. And since 2019, light rail trains have stopped just a few meters away at Tremblay Station. Line 1, Ottawa's first electric light rail, presently runs 7.8 miles or 12.5 kilometers from Blair to Tunney's Pasture via downtown, and for our first ride we'll be traveling from here at Tremblay to the eastern end of the line at Blair. At least, we will if the ticket machine works. It takes a lot of work to get it to respond. But eventually I have a ticket, and I scan it on the fare gate and head down the stairs right as a train pulls in. Line 1 has a fleet of articulated Alstom light rail vehicles that are 100% low floor. This means plenty of room for wheelchairs and seats for disabled passengers. You know, I will say it does feel weird to be back on light rail after the REM. I feel kind of spoiled. It's also worth noting that the onboard maps don't list Blair as a line's endpoint. Instead, they list 5 more stops ending with Trim. This is an eastward extension that will be opening as soon as this year, adding 7.1 miles of track, or 12 kilometers, to the light rail, nearly doubling its length. We arrive in our first underground station, where I discover the French doors closing announcement plays after the doors start closing.
Doors closing. Fermeture des portes.
We then continue down the line, making one more stop before pulling into Blair, the current eastern terminus. Stepping off, we walk past our train, which has the Ottawa logo on its nose, and head downstairs.
Wait, where are the fare gates?
So we're going through an exit that's only accessible for buses, and OC Transpo has integrated fares, meaning if you come from a bus, you can just hop straight onto the light rail, and vice versa, meaning you only have to ever tap once if you're doing a bus to rail transfer.
So Josh, where are we going?
We are going to Montreal.
Weren't we just there?
Montreal is, in fact, the first station on the new light rail extension. We wait for the bus to take us there in a heated shelter because it's cold. Also note the cool bilingual design on this graphic. Finally, our bus arrives. We leave Blair, passing some of OC Transpo's double-decker buses, and join the nearby highway, running in an express lane. The light rail runs along the highway's north side before crossing into the median for a bit. As we pull off the roadway again, we can see the head house of the Montreal station.
And with that, we have made it to Montreal Road. And now we have to walk under the highway to get back on the bus to go back to the light rail.
As we pass under the highway, we find the entrance to Montreal Station, complete with the O-Train's unique pylon, and a modest entrance that's currently gated shut. From here, we can see the contrast in width between a 2-way light rail viaduct and a 1-way viaduct for the highway. At the opposite bus shelter, we hop on the westbound bus, which takes us down the highway and drops us back at Blair Station, where we take an escalator back up to the platform. Trains on Line 1 are Alstom light rail vehicles which had a rocky start when they came online in 2019. Door problems and compatibility issues with the line's signal system led to extensive delays. The trains didn't have straps for passengers to hang on to at first, so riders had to wrap scarves around the high grab bars instead. When wintertime came, the heating system and catenary struggled. Derailments led to further delays, and disputes abounded between Alstom, the city, and the contractor who built the tracks. OC Transpo had reduced bus service along the light rail corridor when it opened, and when the disruptions came, they struggled to provide substitution service. But now, as of April 2026, the problems are still ongoing.
The latest setback is the most severe damage yet. It's called shelling. Metal flaking off inside the cartridge-bearing assemblies, which connects the wheels and axles.
Per this report, The problem has gotten so bad that there was talk of closing the line recently, and as of filming, the reduced equipment pool has led to single-car trains and a delayed opening for the eastern extension. And now, SEPTA's ordering the same trains for their trolley network. Really hope Alstom learns from their experience here. Unlike other light rail systems in Canada, Ottawa's Line 1 is entirely grade separated, acting functionally as more of a light metro that happens to use trams, and that's because it used to be a bus route. Before building urban rail, Ottawa opened an extensive network of transitways. These were bus-only highways all over the region that sped up travel times for passengers. Think Pittsburgh's East Busway or CT Fast Track, made into a whole network. But eventually, Ottawa feared the system was reaching capacity with more and more buses emptying onto crowded downtown streets, and 2 segments of Transitway to the east and west of downtown were closed starting in 2015 to form Line 1's right-of-way. Other portions of the Transitway system still exist, and we'll check them out later. We approach U Ottawa, a major source of ridership.
Next station, U Ottawa.
I Ottawa? He, she, we Ottawa.
After the university, we enter a tunnel under downtown. This serves 3 stations. Built using a sequential excavation method, this tunnel resulted in 2 different sinkholes during its construction. We pass through Rideau and step off at Parliament.
So here at Parliament Station, we wanted to point out one of the unique features at the station. However, we have a bit of a spelling mistake here. There we go. Now it's fixed. This is one of the stations on the O train line to have 2 names. So you have the English name over here, and follow me over this way. On a le nom en français.
We walk up to the colorful mezzanine, then ride a rather long escalator to the surface.
I gotta say, I love the OC Transport logo on these pylons so much. It makes me want to eat it. It looks like a lifesaver, or the Jell-O logo. Either way, I'm thinking about red artificially flavored candy, and maybe my blood sugar's going low. Let me check my blood sugar. I am actually going low.
Thankfully, we're right near that most Canadian of institutions, A&W, where we load up on iced cold root beer and chilled glasses. Then we walk past the CBC headquarters and reach the government buildings. Up ahead is the House of Commons, and we walk past that to find the Parliament of Canada with its iconic Peace Tower.
You know, if we keep hanging around the Canadian government, we might bump into the Prime Minister. Oh, hi, Mark.
Out front, the Centennial Flame mixes fire and water to honor Canada's heritage, keeping chilly tourists warm.
So that's the Peace Tower. I can't believe I'm seeing the real thing. After going to the Addis Ababa restaurant themed after it and getting locked in their bathroom.
Walking back downtown past this firm Canadians have thoughts about, we reach a shelter for STO buses. We're boarding the 400 to take us across the river to Gatineau, Quebec. This takes us down Albert Street, which was formerly used by Transitway buses with dedicated lanes, before turning north and crossing the Ottawa River into Gatineau. Ottawa was chosen as Canada's capital, since it's on the border of Anglophone and Francophone Canada, and many federal government offices are here on the Quebec side. And to help speed up commute times, Gatineau opened the Rapibus system in 2013, with the dedicated busway system running 9.1 miles or 14.8 kilometers. We're turning onto the busway to ride a decent portion of that. The Rapibus busway follows the Quebec-Gatineau Railway, and is mostly grade separated, with the occasional signaled crossings, which we often fly right through. Eventually, we come to a stop and wait for a westbound bus to pass us. Then, the road constricts, and the freight tracks even join the right-of-way, as we pull onto a narrow bridge, carrying the shared tracks and road across the Gatineau River. Red signals on the bridge prohibit crossing in the other direction, and as we get across, another bus waits for us to clear before proceeding.
I always get scared by Nova Bus doors because they almost sliced me a couple times in Montreal.
Stepping off at De La Gap, we see an STO branded truck waiting for the light. Eventually, the light changes, the bus pulls up, and we get back on board, crossing back over the Gatineau River and cruising down the busway.
The next stop is Hanson.
Back on the streets, we travel through Gatineau and cross back over the flooding Ottawa River, leaving Quebec for the moment. We pass Archives Canada, the Justice Department of Canada, the National Arts Centre, and finally the Rogers Centre, where we get off. Then we head into a mall with some interesting bilingual signage to hit up Farm Boy for lunch. Basically, Canadian Trader Joe's with a hot bar, where I get about $30 Canadian worth of salad. As always, shout out to my generous Patreon supporters for bankrolling my questionable life decisions. The mall also features an entrance to Rideau Station, and we head back down the escalators and corridor, through fare control and into the subway.
Josh,
Nah.
What is Ottawa's favorite flavor of chips?
I don't know. What is Ottawa's favorite flavor of chip?
Doritos.
A Line 1 train appears, which will take westbound to Tunney's Pasture. There's only a few stops to go in this direction, and a lot of riders have to transfer to buses at the line's end. But that's set to change soon, with a westward extension of Line 1 to Algonquin now under construction, and the opening of a new Line 3 which is also under construction, which will interline with Line 1 from Trim before splitting off after Lincoln Fields to serve Moody. These east and west extensions will put a greater percentage of Ottawa residents within a short distance of rail service, and hopefully eliminate some of the bus transfers. Unfortunately, building this expansion has necessitated the closure of more of the Transitway system. Staying on the train, we reverse one stop east to Bayview. The slice of the city out the window is notably low density, considering we're not that far from downtown. At the elevated Bayview, we jump off, scurry down the platform, and descend the stairs to Line 2, Ottawa's original urban rail, which promptly leaves without us. Line 2 is a 12-mile diesel commuter rail line which runs from Bayview south to Limebank. We'll be riding it as far as South Keys. Since an announcement just told us train service is on the opposite platform, we walk around to it, only to hear...
Attention Bayview Station, please move back to the other platform. This train is out of service. Thank you.
Alright, back the other way.
Line 2's modern fleet consists of Stadler-Flirt DMUs, similar to those on Texrail and the Dart Silver Line. The interiors are comfortable and spacious, with mixed high and low floors. We finally leave Bayview and cruise south to Corso Italia, an infill station built to serve Ottawa's historically Italian neighborhood.
So again, I'd like to remind you that we are on a German-built train with Deutsche Bahn maquette coming to a station with an Italian name with announcements in French. Does it get more European than this?
Line 2 opened in October 2001 as a pilot project for rail in Ottawa. With 5 stations between Bayview and Greensboro, the line utilized an existing single-tracked Canadian Pacific right-of-way, with a passing loop in the middle, and ran using only 3 train sets, with 2 in operation at any given time. At Bayview, passengers could transfer to the Transitway for the journey into downtown Ottawa. A proposal to electrify the line and run it into downtown on surface streets was seriously considered in the mid-2000s, making it well into the planning stages, but this was ultimately rejected, leading to a multi-million-dollar settlement with no trains built, and an 18-year gap before Ottawa's next rail opened in 2019. The original line was closed in 2020 for a massive overhaul and reopened in January 2025, now over double the original length, with 11 total stations and frequencies as low as every 12 minutes. We arrive at Carleton University, one of the major drivers of ridership on the line, with a lot of offs and ons. We get to Mooney's Bay, cross a bridge over a Via Rail line, and pass over the Southeast Transitway, one of Ottawa's last bus-only roadways, which comes up alongside the tracks.
Y'all, I am fighting to stay awake. I got up at 5 a.m.
We disembark in South Keys and watch our train pull away. Departing on the opposite platform are a pair of Alstom DMUs, which were the main equipment on the line just prior to the rebuild. Behind them we see South Keys Station on the Transitway, whose retro style reminds me a lot of the old Pittsburgh Airport terminal. As part of the recent rebuild, a new Line 4 was opened, running diesel trains from here at South Keys to the Ottawa Airport. We'll be making this 2.5-mile journey, that's 4 kilometers, just as soon as our train shows up, which seems to be in about 7 minutes. Eventually, another Alstom DMU shows up for us. Most of these are now on airport service. As of right now, there are no direct trains from the airport to Bayview or downtown Ottawa.
So the last train had a diesel unit in the center of the train set. This one has the diesel engine underneath our feet, so the floor is much more vibrating-y-ish.
Passing a northbound train, followed by a paratransit vehicle on the Transitway, we parallel Line 2 for a little while.
This is definitely the most laid-back transit experience I've ever had. Certainly the most laid back on a train going to an airport.
Then we're turning west. We're passing another train at Uplands, a station that's completely desolate today, but is conveniently next to the EV Center where various conventions including Comic-Con are held throughout the year. Then we're passing the National Research Council Canada aerospace facilities and approaching the airport, where we spot a Canadian government aircraft off in the distance. The airport station is small but nicely enclosed, and it empties directly out into the terminal.
Oh, I think I stubbed my toe. Yow!
Also, I can't be the only one who thinks these new trains are Playmobil core. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone make 2 transfers to go from downtown to the airport? Wouldn't it be faster to just run a bus? Well, it might be. And we can find out because that bus still exists.
So it turns out there are actually multiple different transport modes from here at the airport back to downtown. There is of course the train that we just took, and there is also the busway.
Which is faster? We're about to find out.
Josh is going to take the train back to downtown. I am going to take the busway, so good luck, you're going to need it.
Who's gonna win? Vote now on your phones.
Peace.
For our race to downtown, Josh and I have chosen Lion Station on the subway as our endpoint. Josh will be riding line 4 to line 2 to line 1, while I'll be riding the 105 bus on the Southeast Transitway to Herdman, then taking line 1 from there to Lion. Airport signage says to take the train if you're going downtown or to the west of that, and to take the bus if you're going to the east. Let's see if that holds up. We'll be finding out both who gets to Lion first and whose travel time was the shortest. At first, Josh seems to be winning, with his train taking off, leaving me waiting for my bus, which comes late.
So there was supposed to be a bus several minutes ago. Still hasn't showed up yet. Of course, right as I say that, it's showing up.
And while he gets to enjoy clean, modern European trains, I turn on to the Southeast Transitway on the 105 bus, complete with dirty windows and seats, a faint smell of cigarettes, and a passenger behind me loudly listening to a motivational podcast, which is rather demotivating. Still, this bus has a lot of riders. Most of the vehicles I rode in this video did. Despite having kind of a bonkers layout, Greater Ottawa's public transit was the main mode of commuting for 11.7% of the city's population in 2024, according to Statistics Canada, a figure that's been growing since COVID. Ottawa's transit success probably has a lot to do with it being a smaller city with 2 big universities, and their trains are still breaking down, but still, not bad Ottawa. I was unfamiliar with your game. The busway ends at Herdman right as a light rail train pulls away, but thanks to 5-minute frequencies, there's another one soon after, and we head back downtown and into the subway.
And here we are in Leon? I'm so confused by all the French and English. I need to sleep.
Emerging onto the mezzanine, it turns out I got to Lion first, even though Josh had left the airport well before me.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
I just got here.
That's what I figured.
Almost dead even, oh my goodness.
I know.
What's your time?
Total journey time I think was a little north of 43 minutes, 26 seconds.
See, I had 32 minutes, 36 seconds.
So you saved a whole 10 minutes by taking the bus, and if we were going to a station that was further on the east side of town, which way is east here? Yeah, if it was a station further on the east side of town, like Parliament or Rideau, you would have beaten me by even more.
So the brand new train ended up being slower than the bus that's been there for decades?
Yeah. They signpost us at the airport, oh, going to downtown? Take the train. No, don't take the train, take the bus.
You just heard it on Classy Whale, don't take the train? What is this world coming to? Anyways, now I'm flying out of Ottawa, so I have to go back to the airport.